G'day folks, it's Rob here. Today's clip, I'm just going to run through why I decided to pull down my aquaponics system, as there appears to be a little bit of confusion online as to what's going on. Now, we've had this aquaponics system up and running in various forms for about 8 or 9 years, and yeah, basically got to the point where due to the house renovations and also wanting to rework the backyard, I decided that it was time to pull this aquaponics system down. Now, it worked great for us. I had someone say, well, you must have done something wrong if you're pulling it down. No, not at all. There were a few mishaps along the way. Bits of pipework fell off due to not being installed properly. I had nitrite spikes and issues due to constant flow beds becoming fantastic solids filters, but on the whole this system grew us some fantastic veg. Not only that, some terrific jade and silver perch as well. There's a lot of tweaks and changes that I would have made to hopefully make it run more efficiently, which is part of the reason why it's been pulled down. But other than that, I was more than happy with the way this system ran for us. Now, just to give you a bit of a gander at how the system came down, it was pretty basic. Over the last couple of weeks, as I've had time, I've been cleaning out the media from the grow beds. I decided to clean all the muck and gunk, or as much as I could, roots included, out of the media that was in the grow beds, so it could be stored for use later. If I'd stored it wet, it would have gone slightly anaerobic and manky. So yeah, I figured the best thing to do was to clean as much mess out of there as I could, and it's just stored in a couple of cages lined with shade cloth at the moment. And when we get a couple of dry weeks, I'll be laying it all out on shade cloth or trays or whatever, just to make sure it's nice and toasty dry, and then it will be packed in containers for use later, or I might even try and sell a little bit to recoup some of the costs and the money that has gone into the build of the system originally. So on Friday I finished cleaning out the last of the grow beds with a large cardamom in it, and yesterday I decided it was time to pull the plug on the rest of the system. And yeah, the first thing I had to do was pretty much remove the pump from the sump tank and try and get the gudgeons out and set them up in a little tank under the house until we have another pond set up ready for them. And now, to begin with, I thought I'd be a little bit sneaky and try and make a couple of very basic fish traps, just things I've seen online, using a 1.5 litre water bottle. Unfortunately, the fish were a lot smarter than I thought, and they decided not to fall for the trick. They ate all the burley bread bits that I put down in front of the openings, but they didn't venture into the little traps themselves. So I decided just to pull them out with the net. The reason I didn't really want to use the net is a couple of them were a little bit too small and they could have fallen through the holes, but yeah, luckily they all came out relatively easily. So those gudgeons were moved up into a small little fish tank underneath the house. Bianca had to buy a new sponge filter because I couldn't find one, and while she was down there she also bought them a little bit of tank furniture. And yeah, those little fellas, they'll live in there until we end up setting up another pond down the line. Now, once the water was out of the system, I had to clean out the biofilter. The biofilter was a moving bed bioreactor. It was stocked with it's called a PEO3, or basically a K2 5-spoke biomedia. So all that had to come out and it's gone into a container, and at a later date it'll get the same treatment as the clay, maybe not in direct sunlight because I don't think it's UV stabilized, but I'll set it out on some shade cloth underneath our back deck and just let it dry out, and it will be stored away in canisters for later use as well. So after the biofilter was cleaned from the biomedia, I let the water flow via gravity down into the sump tank and also emptied the drum that was acting as a sort of a settling filter next to it. I let the water from it drain into the sump tank as well. And from there, I pumped all the water up into the pond. I basically stuck a couple of bulkheads in there, sealed it off again, attached a drainage hose, and just topped it up with all the water that was remaining in the filters in the sump tank. And the water from that will just be used to water the root pouch wicking trays and a few of the wicking barrels around the place over the next couple of weeks, as I don't think there'll quite be enough rain to keep them all well hydrated. Then it was just a matter of, pulling the barrels apart, which was a bit of fun because they were joined by 90mm or roughly 3-inch pipe with uni-seals in each chamber. So that was a bit of fun trying to wiggle them apart. I actually got a bit of surprise after I moved the radial flow filter out. I noticed a little bit of a flapping on the ground, and apparently there was a gudgeon living in the radial flow filter itself. So I rescued that little fella, ran him up to the house and added him into the tank with his buddies. and then all that was left was to bail out the rest of the water in the base of the sump tank and remove it from this area down here, which has left me with this great big hole that I now need to fill in with some dirt. And then what I'm going to do is just rake some of this rock over the top of it. And then we're going to collect all the pavers that we've used as bits of path around the yard down there, and there's still some in amongst the wicking beds, or the old where the wicking beds were. There's also fallen mangoes from the fruit bats still to pick up. But yeah, all those pavers are going to be put on top of the rock here. And then on top of that, we'll be putting all the other bits of infrastructure we have left around the place. We've got some school fencing and some trellises, some bits of tin, an old workbench and an old barbecue my dad made, some water tanks and bits and pieces like that. All that will be pulled out of down there and stored under this area here. So we have a clear run at landscaping the backyard, putting in some small retaining walls, and then this area here will end up with a proper cover over it and a larger aquaponic system go in here. And you'll start to see garden beds and a chicken shed and some plants being popped out in the backyard. But you know, don't hold your breath, folks. I mean, it could be another 12 months before we get the place up to where we want it. I can't move as much as I used to, and there's also a few financial costs that we've got to take into consideration as well. But getting back to the aquaponics, now you folks who have been keeping up with updates on YouTube and Facebook will know that I've already started to build the new temporary aquaponic system up here underneath the deck. So what we've got already is a 400 litre grow bed on a stand that I bought from Danny. Thank you very much, mate. Still haven't caught up with your latest video. I will, I swear. Also to a fish tank, which was from the other system. And this is the cage that was around the sump tank down the back there that I pulled out yesterday. And you can see the anodized tin that I had around the side just to stop any rock from collapsing the base of the sump tank itself. Now the tray's got a little bit of rust on it down the bottom there, but I don't think it's structural. I gave it the screwdriver tap test yesterday. So what I'm going to do is just hit that with a wire brush or maybe the wire wheel on the grinder, and then just hit it with some cold gal. And yeah, this will basically be the stand for a grow bed and also act as the sump as well. I do have one concern. I'm not too sure whether I might have to raise this whole grow bed a little bit, because as you can see, we have a drain just up in there, and what I need to do is to run PVC pipe down from there and then down into the sump tank, sorry. And I have a feeling from memory it actually sits a little bit proud of that, so it might be a very tight squeeze trying to get the drain to come down at a decent angle. Worst case scenario, we'll just need to get a couple of jacks out here, raise this up, and either put some more sleeper down, because I think I do have a length of sleeper we could use just to raise it up a bit, or maybe even just a couple of paver thicknesses high should do the trick and give us more than enough clearance into the sump itself. Then over the top of the sump, we are going to have a single grow bed. I was chatting to Matthias, mucking around or playing around with the idea of adding a sand bed in here. But yeah, I don't think I will this time around. I'll wait until we have a dedicated aquaponic space down the back there, and maybe a bit out there. We'll just wait and see. But yeah, when I get a dedicated aquaponic space, then I'll worry about playing around with a dedicated sand system. For now, I'll just go back to another media bed here, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. This is how much rain we've had. Seeds that have been left in the media have decided to sprout. So I actually have a feeling they could be warrigal green seeds. I'll have a dig around and have a look, hey? Yes, it is. It's a warrigal green seedling. So there you go. Actually, I'll leave him in there. Might actually take pity on them and water them, because I really do love warrigal greens. And yeah, I do hope you guys who are interested in what's going on here with the old aquaponic system and now the new one that's taking shape did enjoy the clip. And I really do enjoy making these clips and uploading them for you all to enjoy. And also too, thank you to you supporters on those different sites. Bit of a Bevan driving past. Thank you for all the support on the sites, the Farm Your Own Yard and the YouTube membership platform. I really do appreciate you know, the friendships I've made with a lot of you folks over there. Hung out with a couple of you this morning, and I'm going to stop rabbiting on. I do hope you've enjoyed this little bit of a catch up, as I said before, and I'll catch you later. Cheers all.